Okay.
Hey, it's Steve at Recruit Ops again, covering something a little different today. We actually touched on it in an earlier video. I hear a lot of nurses who apply to positions that we have and they say, I'm a med-surg nurse, but I really want to get into cath lab. How do I do that? So we talk about how to do that. And they go into an interview and they sit down with the recruiter and they say, hey, this is my long-term goal. Well, the recruiter in the hospital understands that your long-term goal is growth. The next step is they go meet with the director. While they're talking to the director says, what do you want to do? And the nurse is honest, which is good. And they say, you know what, eventually I'd like to move into a cath lab role within the next year or so. That's usually where that interview dies. I tell people all the time on the phone, if you and I were to go out, sit down at a table on a date, first date, and I say, look, I really like you, but just so you know, I'm already thinking about the person I'm going to be dating after you. You don't get very excited about that. Here's what we tell people all the time. If you're a med-surg nurse and you want to take a next step up in your career, and let's say you've been in med-surg for less than 6 months, right? Start over, say you're a new nurse and you got 6 months of experience and you want to move into a higher acuity critical care role. Dedicate a year at least to the role that you're in. That's the best advice that we can give you. If you're in a role for 6 months and you look to move into another role, that doesn't make a lot of sense for hospitals or for you. If you're at a hospital and you're in a med-surg role, that hospital's probably got an ICU, probably got a telemetry, a step down, whatever the case is. Why wouldn't you just work at the hospital you're at to move? There's no need to get another job for that. It makes sense because you're known to them. But when you go to a new hospital, they don't know who you are. They know you from your resume, right? From these interviews, right? But you wouldn't marry somebody after 3 one-hour conversations. Most people wouldn't. So hospitals are making that marriage type decision based on 3 1 or 1.5 hour conversations. If you're a nurse and you're in a med-surg role and you want to move up into a higher acuity type role, the hospital you're currently working at is your best avenue to do that more often than not. Now, there are some other options though. There are hospital systems that offer internships for critical care, labor delivery, mother-baby, postpartum, NICU. They're out there. They're a little more difficult because a lot of people want those. Now, we touched on the other video, when you're looking at a potential new employer, right? What you want to look at is growth potential. So if your goal is to continue to grow your career, ICU, critical care, cath lab, EP, whatever the case is, transplant, flight, whatever. When you interview for that position, this is what we're going to tell you. If your goal is to do that long term, you tell the recruiter in the hospital that's where you want to be. But know going in that you need to dedicate at least 1.5 to 2 years to that role. Now that doesn't mean within that 2 years you can't float to where you want to be. Definitely have that growth conversation with your director, and if that director is worth their salt, they're going to encourage that type of growth because it's better for the hospital to keep you there versus losing you to the hospital across the street. So have that conversation. But as a recruiter, what we tell people is focus on the role you're interviewing for. Understanding the career growth in your mind is there, focus on the role you want to be in to get the position, to get your foot in the door. I would work med-surg for 3 years to be able to work at some of the hospitals in this country. 4 years. So when you talk to a recruiter, be very honest with them about what your goals are. That gives us the opportunity to help you put your best foot forward. All right? As always, if you have any questions, leave comments on this video, subscribe, follow us, like us on Facebook. We'd love to hear what concerns you guys have, what questions you have, right? If you've bombed an interview, no offense, people do that, and you don't understand why, give us a call. Maybe we can help you understand why. All right, thanks for watching.